Hello, welcome back. Today's Vlogmas video is going to be my worst books of 2023. So we are going to talk about the 5 worst books that I read this year, and just to give the blanket disclaimer, the fact that I think these were the worst books that I read this year does not make these inherently bad books. It just means that they didn't work for me. I am very sorry if I am about to bash one of your favorite books. I think some of you will not be shocked, but might get a little bit in your feels about the last book that I'm going to talk about today. But one of the great things about books is that we all have different ones that we enjoy and that we gravitate towards, and these were just not it for me. So hopefully I don't make anybody feel some type of way about their favorite book, but let's get into it. The first book we're going to talk about, there's actually 2 on here. 3? There's 3 books on here from the Sleep When I'm Dead book club that my friend Jessie from the channel Reading with Jess hosts. So she picks new release thrillers every month with she and a co-host. And the first book I'm going to talk about is Malice House by Megan Shepherd. I think that this was the February pick, and this was, I guess, more of like horror-esque or had horror elements in it. I don't know. It was about this girl, and I remember her name. Her name was Haven, because I love the name Haven, and I think that was like a perfect name for a character in a book. So that's probably the only reason I remembered that the character's name was Haven. But she is going to her father's house after he's passed away to like settle his estate and everything. And he's an author, and she finds some of these unpublished manuscripts, and she's an illustrator, so she starts making illustrations based on her father's it's called like Bedtime Stories for Monsters, and that from the synopsis should have been a red flag for me that I wasn't gonna like it, but I thought maybe it was just a book and it wasn't actually gonna be about monsters that hide under your bed. But it kind of was, but then it kind of wasn't. And it had these like weird, it had one of those weird tropes where it's like, is it magical realism? Is it not? Nobody really knows. The characters made awful decisions. There was a plethora of characters that just were not necessary. It just overall was a huge dud for me. And I think the reason that there's 3 Sleep When I'm Dead book club picks on here is because I made it a point to read every single book that they discussed on Jessie's channel. And I actually have a video tier ranking all of the picks for 2023. So definitely go check that video out. Next, we have The Writing Retreat by Julia Bartz. And this one was almost like, felt like it was supposed to be satire. It felt satirical. The like meanness and the mood and everything every character did seemed so over exaggerated. I just couldn't believe it. So basically this is about an author who invites all of these female authors to this remote chateau in the wilderness, and it's like a writing competition. They write parts of a story every day and share them with her, and at the end she'll pick a winner, and that winner will get their manuscript published. But like I said, just ridiculous, over the top, like villainous things. And the whole second half was kind of like a fever dream. I've seen this compared to Bunny by Mona Awad, and it gives me even more reason to not want to read Bunny. And the stakes just didn't seem high enough. Like, people started disappearing, but like that was about it, and we weren't really sure if they were dead or not. And then one of the people that's there in the writing competition used to be friends with another, and they had a falling out. And when you find out like why they had a falling out, it's just stupid. And yeah, this one's just big pass for me. And then the other Sleep When I'm Dead book club pick was written by Julia Bart's sister, Andy Bartz. So next we have The Spare Room by Andrea Bartz, and this is a like pandemic mystery, and this girl's kind of down on her luck, broke up with her boyfriend, and she decides to move in with an old friend and her husband, and they are swingers. So she's in this like weird throuple, and then she learns that there's some sinister things going on. The woman that previously was in their throuple has now disappeared, and just very strange. And I don't know, it just felt like 3 horny adults playing house together, and I don't know, it just didn't really work for me. I enjoyed her writing style. I enjoyed the way the plot unfolded, but I hated the characters. I didn't really care about the girl who disappeared. I caught on pretty quick to what had happened, but the flip side of this is that Jessie and I actually interviewed the author on her channel, so that's awkward. But I do appreciate her as an author and appreciated her process. And I definitely see that this book has an audience. I'm just not that audience. The next book I'm going to talk about is Haven by Emma Donoghue. And this book I read because I was on the podcast Talk Bookish to Me. This was the book discussion that we read. Wow, I'm really just exposing myself here with book clubs and buddy reads and discussions. I read Room by Emma Donoghue and I really enjoyed it, and so I thought I would like other Emma Donoghue books. I've actually ended up DNFing all of them except for this one, and obviously I didn't DNF it because I was reading it for the podcast with Gwen, and definitely go check out that episode because we delve a lot into this, but neither of us really enjoyed this book very much. And it's about these two monks that set out on this vision quest with this other monk, and they go to this remote island and the one monk kind of starts going crazy, and it was just very strange, and I don't feel like I learned anything about monk culture or anything. And she was trying to write it as like old-timey writing is what it felt. She tried to make it seem like the Canterbury Tales or Beowulf or one of those like old classic books, but it just didn't hit. It just didn't do what it intended, I don't think. And I had some like ethical issues with it, and it had some like strange things. I was like, just why was that necessary? Why? Trigger warning for abusive animals. I'm pretty sure they like eat a bird at some point to like stay alive, because these two monks are just blindly following this other monk. So I don't know. Definitely a podcast episode worth listening to, but not a book worth reading. Okay, we have come to my least favorite book of 2023. Nobody should be shocked at this point. I have not been very quiet about my dislike of this book. I read this for a romance reading vlog back in May, and this was definitely the worst of that bunch. This makes me so sad because I love Emily Henry. I've given all of her adult romances either 4 or 5 stars, and this was one of my most anticipated books of the year. But first of all, this isn't a romance. It has like one like half steamy scene in it, I guess you can call it that, but it was cringy. And it's really like a friend story, so it felt like chick lit. Number 2, I felt like there was just gaslighting just like woven through this whole book. So essentially you have this friend group that comes to this beach house every year, and they all show up, and the friends didn't know that 2 of them that were dating are no longer dating anymore. And they show up there and the guy just pretends like they're dating and is like just pulling this girl along and making her pretend like they're still together when they're not. And she kept telling him like, I don't want to do this. This is confusing. I don't like this. And he was like, but is it confusing? Like, is it though? Or are you just confused? Because I'm not confused. And it just felt so gaslighty. And she kept telling him that she was uncomfortable with it and she didn't want to do it. And he was like, it'll be fine. You'll do it for me, right? And just ridiculous. And the reasoning that he gave for why their relationship ended and why he treated her the way he did was not an acceptable excuse, I don't think. And it was bad. And then the ending of this book reminds me of the ending of the movie Grease. So think about that. Think about it. I'm not trying to spoil this for anybody, but just think about the ending of that movie. Ugh. This is not the Emily Henry that I know and love, and I'm hopeful that her next release will be more like her first 3. And that's all I'm going to say about that. And I still have this book because it's cute and it's pink and I won it in a giveaway, and I now have the whole set, but every time I look at it, it just makes me irritated, so I might have to unhaul it. Okay, that's enough of that. Those are the 5 worst books that I read in 2023. Again, sorry if one of these was your favorite. I feel like this one's gonna be the controversial one, but I hope that you all found as many books this year that you loved as books that you didn't love, because that's always the goal, right? To read more books that we loved than what we hated. So thank you so much for watching. My next video is going to be my best books of the year, and there's twice as many of those as there were worst books. So hopefully I didn't make anybody too upset. Thank you so much for watching. Please hit that subscribe button. It really helps out my channel, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!